Welcome back to ABCGH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue brewing in Port Charles as a complex love triangle threatens to erupt into something far more dangerous. The stakes have never been higher as personal relationships collide with professional agendas, creating a perfect storm of drama that has viewers on the edge of their seats. Carly's precarious position. Carly Spencer finds herself in an increasingly complicated situation as three powerful men orbit around her like satellites caught in her gravitational pull. This isn't the first time she's been at the center of attention, but the current circumstances carry particularly high stakes given the players involved. The blonde firecracker has always had a talent for attracting both trouble and powerful protectors, but this time she may have bitten off more than she can chew. Jack Brennan's persistent pursuit has awakened dormant protective instincts in both Sonny and Jason, creating a volatile cocktail of emotions and motivations that threatens to explode at any moment. Carly's reaction to this three-way tug-of-war remains ambiguous. On one hand, she appears somewhat flattered by Jack's attentions and the sophisticated world he represents. His promises of protection come with an allure of legitimacy that Sonny and Jason simply cannot offer. Yet there's hesitation in her eyes, a recognition that Jack's interest might not be entirely personal, but potentially part of a larger agenda. "I can make my own decisions," she was overheard telling Sonny during a heated exchange at the Metro Court. But can she really navigate these treacherous waters without getting pulled under by the undercurrents of power and jealousy swirling around her? Jack Brennan's mysterious agenda. The WSB chief has emerged as a wildcard in Port Charles, his true motivations shrouded in mystery and speculation. Jack presents himself as the antithesis to Sonny's world. Legitimate, powerful within legal frameworks, and offering Carly a path away from the constant danger that comes with proximity to the mob. His credentials are impressive, rising through the ranks of the World Security Bureau with remarkable speed and efficiency. His polished demeanor and silver-tongued charm have worked wonders on many in town, particularly Carly, who seems drawn to his confidence and the air of authority he carries. However, whispers around Port Charles suggest there's more to Jack than meets the eye. Valentine Cassidy's cryptic warnings have planted seeds of doubt about Jack's true position within the WSB hierarchy. Could he actually be operating at a level far above what he's claimed? Some speculate he might be using his interest in Carly as cover for a more sinister operation targeting Port Charles's underworld. Jack's calculated approach to wooing Carly hasn't gone unnoticed by the town's most dangerous men. Each smile, each chance encounter, each offer of assistance seems meticulously planned, raising questions about whether his heart is truly involved or if Carly is simply a means to an end. The formidable alliance. The sight of Sonny Corinthos and Jason Morgan standing shoulder to shoulder again has sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Their partnership, once the foundation of power in the city's underworld, has been fractured in recent years by betrayals, misunderstandings, and competing interests. Now, Carly has inadvertently become the catalyst for their reunion. Their combined presence creates an intimidating force that few would dare to challenge. Sonny brings his fiery passion and strategic mind, while Jason contributes his legendary calm under pressure and unwavering loyalty. Together, they represent a formidable obstacle to anyone foolish enough to cross their path, including a certain WSB chief. The dynamic between these two men carries decades of history. They've saved each other's lives countless times, kept each other's secrets, and weathered storms that would have destroyed lesser friendships. This shared history gives them an almost telepathic understanding of how to work together to eliminate threats. "Some things never change," remarked a longtime Port Charles resident upon seeing them conferring intensely at the docks. When those two put their heads together, someone's world is about to be turned upside down. The impending confrontation. The tension building between these powerful forces cannot be contained much longer. Sources close to the situation report that Sonny and Jason have reached their breaking point regarding Jack's persistent presence in Carly's life. Their ultimatum is expected to be delivered in no uncertain terms: Jack must distance himself from Carly or face consequences that his WSB badge cannot protect him from. This confrontation has been brewing for weeks, with increasingly hostile glances exchanged across the Metro court and thinly veiled threats wrapped in polite conversation. The powder keg requires only the smallest spark to ignite. What makes this showdown particularly dangerous is the combination of personal and professional motivations driving each man. For Sonny, this is about protecting someone he still considers family despite their romantic history. For Jason, it's about honoring his lifelong commitment to keeping Carly safe. And for Jack, Carly represents either a genuine romantic interest or a strategic inroad to Port Charles's power structure, perhaps both. Potential fallout. The consequences of this three-way collision could reshape Port Charles's landscape in profound ways. If Sonny and Jason successfully intimidate Jack into backing off, they risk pushing Carly away by making decisions for her, something she has never tolerated well. Her fiercely independent nature might drive her directly into Jack's arms as an act of defiance. Conversely, if Jack stands his ground against their threats, he could find himself facing the full might of Sonny's organization. The WSB might provide some protection, but even federal agents can find themselves in precarious positions when dealing with the shadows Sonny controls. Most concerning is the possibility that this confrontation could expose vulnerabilities in Port Charles's power structure that others might exploit. Valentin Cassadine watches from the periphery, always ready to capitalize on chaos. Other players like Cyrus Renault and the remnants of the Novak family would be equally eager to take advantage of any distraction this conflict creates. Carly's ultimate decision. At the heart of this brewing storm stands Carly Spencer, a woman who has never shied away from difficult choices. Her decision regarding these three men will likely determine not just her own future but potentially the balance of power in Port Charles. Will she choose the legitimacy and new beginnings that Jack represents? Will she return to the familiar comfort and protection of Sonny's world? Or will she assert her independence and chart a course entirely her own, perhaps with Jason's quiet support? One thing remains certain: Carly Spencer has survived and thrived through decades of Port Charles drama by trusting her instincts and refusing to be controlled. Whatever choice she makes, it will be on her terms, regardless of ultimatums or threats from any quarter. The coming weeks promise to deliver explosive confrontations and unexpected alliances as this drama unfolds. Port Charles hasn't witnessed a power struggle of this magnitude in years, and when the dust settles, the town's landscape may be forever altered. Next, we will learn about the issues surrounding Ava Jerome's shocking moral dilemma and Sonny Corinthos' life-threatening health crisis that has been carefully concealed from most of Port Charles. This unexpected power shift between longtime adversaries could permanently alter their complicated relationship and impact numerous lives in the process. A life-or-death decision for Ava. The tables have dramatically turned in one of Port Charles's most volatile relationships. Ava Jerome finds herself in an unimaginable position of power over Sonny Corinthos, a man who has caused her immeasurable pain and suffering over the years. The scene unfolds like something from a psychological thriller. Sonny collapsed on the floor, his life-saving medication just out of reach, and Ava standing over him with a decision that could change everything. Dr. Isaiah Gannon's specially prescribed heart medication lies tantalizingly close yet impossibly far for the incapacitated mob boss. These aren't ordinary pills, they're specifically designed to prevent potentially fatal cardiac episodes that Sonny has become increasingly vulnerable to. Without them, his chances of survival diminish with each passing second. For Ava, this moment represents the culmination of years of conflict, heartbreak, and bitter custody battles. The woman who once stood trembling before Sonny's threats now holds his life literally in her hands. The irony isn't lost on her as she contemplates her options with calculating precision. It would be so easy, whispers a voice inside her head. One simple action, or rather, inaction, could eliminate the man who has been the source of so much of her suffering. No one would ever know it wasn't simply a tragic medical emergency. The temptation to watch him struggle, to witness the great Sonny Corinthos rendered helpless, pulls at her darkest impulses. Yet competing thoughts race through her mind. Their daughter Avery's tear-stained face appears in her imagination, a child losing her father. Despite everything, would she inflict that pain on her own daughter? And then there's the practical consideration. Sonny alive and indebted to her could prove far more valuable than Sonny dead and martyred in the eyes of his loyal followers. The seconds tick by like hours as Ava weighs her options, her expression unreadable as she stands at this unexpected crossroads of fate. The custody battle resolution. The bitter custody war over Avery that has raged between Sonny and Ava for nearly a year recently reached an unexpected conclusion. For months, Port Charles witnessed Sonny's relentless campaign to completely excise Ava from their daughter's life, a crusade that included public character assassination, legal maneuvers, and the full weight of his considerable influence. Then came the shocking pivot that left everyone, especially Ava, completely bewildered. Sonny abruptly dropped his aggressive stance and offered an olive branch of co-parenting. The courtroom that had been prepared for a final, ugly showdown instead witnessed a surprisingly amicable agreement being reached. Children need both parents, Sonny announced with uncharacteristic humility, leaving spectators and his own legal team stunned into silence. The judge, who had prepared for weeks of contentious testimony, seemed almost disappointed by the anticlimactic resolution. What no one realized, what Sonny had carefully concealed, was that his change of heart stemmed not from newfound wisdom but from the grim reality of his medical prognosis. Facing his mortality had forced a painful reassessment of priorities. If his time was limited, did he want Avery's memories of him tainted by a vicious custody battle? And more practically, if the worst happened, wouldn't Avery need her mother more than ever? For Ava, the resolution brought financial relief at a critical time. Her gallery has been struggling, investments have soured, and legal fees had been draining her remaining resources at an alarming rate. Yet the emotional toll remains. The months of public humiliation and the stress of potentially losing her daughter have left deep scars that a simple legal agreement cannot heal. He thinks he can just snap his fingers and undo all the damage, she confided to a friend over drinks at the Metro Court. As if I should be grateful that he's finally acting like a reasonable human being after months of torture. Little did she know that Sonny's apparent magnanimity was driven by something far more serious than a simple change of heart. Sonny's secret generosity toward Gio. Among the many relationships Sonny has been quietly putting in order is his connection to young Gio Palmieri, the gifted violinist whose talent has captivated Port Charles. What appears to outsiders as simple generosity, attending concerts, funding education, and most recently providing a substantial cash gift, carries deeper significance that even Sonny doesn't fully comprehend. The envelope of cash, casually handed over with warm encouragement about Joe's future, raised no eyebrows among those who know Sonny's tendency toward grand gestures. What they don't realize is that this act represents Sonny's attempt to secure the future of a young man who was actually his biological grandson, a fact still hidden from everyone, including Sonny himself. The irony of this unknown blood connection adds poignant depth to their relationship. Sonny has always felt an inexplicable bond with the young musician, drawn to his passion and determination in ways he couldn't articulate. Those close to Sonny have noticed how his face softens when discussing Joe's accomplishments, how he beams with a pride that seems disproportionate even for a generous patron. "There's something special about that kid," Sonny once remarked to Jason after a particularly moving recital. "He reminds me of... I don't know. Something familiar I can't quite place." This genetic connection, waiting to be discovered, adds another layer of complexity to Sonny's current situation. His heart condition threatens to cut short a relationship that has barely begun to reveal its true significance. The cash gift, viewed through this lens, becomes not just generosity but a desperate attempt to leave something tangible behind, a lifeline to a future he fears he might not witness. The revelation of their true connection, when it inevitably comes, will send shockwaves through Port Charles and force a re-evaluation of numerous relationships and past events. But for now, Gio remains unaware that the man who has supported his dreams shares his DNA, and that same man is fighting for his life. Sonny's warning to Carly about Jack. Even while facing his own mortality, Sonny's protective instincts toward Carly Spencer remain as fierce as ever. His recent campaign to distance her from WSB director Jack Brennan stems from genuine concern rather than jealousy, though few would believe it. "This isn't about us, Carly," Sonny insisted during their most recent heated exchange at the Metro Court. "Brennan has a target on his back the size of Europe. The people after him don't care who gets caught in the crossfire." Sonny's intelligence network, still one of the most comprehensive in Port Charles despite his health struggles, has uncovered disturbing information about threats against the WSB chief. Former operatives with grudges, international criminal organizations, and even rival intelligence agencies all have reasons to want Brennan eliminated. Carly's growing closeness to him places her squarely in the danger zone. What Sonny hasn't shared with Carly is how this concern connects to his own health crisis. The thought of not being around to protect her, of leaving her vulnerable to dangers she doesn't fully comprehend, weighs heavily on him. Each warning, each argument, carries the unspoken subtext, "I need to know you'll be safe when I'm gone." Carly, naturally, interprets his warnings as typical Sonny possessiveness, the same controlling behavior she's experienced throughout their tumultuous history. Her dismissive responses and continued association with Brennan frustrate Sonny deeply, creating yet another emotional burden during an already difficult time. "You don't own me, Sonny," she reminded him sharply during their last confrontation. "And you certainly don't get to choose my friends." The painful irony is that Sonny's inability to share his true motivation, his fear of leaving her unprotected, only reinforces Carly's perception of his behavior as controlling rather than caring. It's a miscommunication that could have devastating consequences if Brennan's enemies strike while Sonny is incapacitated. Securing a new safe haven. The firebombing of Sonny's penthouse necessitated an immediate relocation for the safety of his family. His choice of Valentine Cassadine's former residence represents more than mere convenience, it's a strategic decision made with his diminishing strength in mind. The estate's imposing 12-foot hedges create a natural barrier against surveillance, while its state-of-the-art security system, installed by Valentine, a man well-versed in international espionage, provides protection that requires minimal physical involvement from Sonny himself. The property's multiple escape routes and panic rooms were designed by someone who understood the constant threat of assassination, features that Sonny appreciates more than ever as his physical capabilities decline. "The place is practically a fortress," Jason observed during a security walkthrough. Valentine was paranoid, but right now, that works in our favor. What remains unspoken between them is how the property's security features compensate for Sonny's weakened condition. In the past, Sonny's personal presence was often deterrent enough, his reputation and the fear he inspired provided a shield of protection. Now, as his body betrays him, he must rely more heavily on physical barriers and technology. The move has been presented to the family as a temporary precaution following the penthouse attack. Only Jason and Christina understand that Sonny is also preparing for the possibility of a prolonged recovery period after his surgery, or worse, arranging a secure environment for his family to carry on without him. The irony of seeking safety in a home previously owned by a Cassadine, a family with whom Sonny has had numerous conflicts, isn't lost on him. But pragmatism outweighs pride when the stakes involve his family's security during his most vulnerable time. The hunt for the penthouse attacker. While managing his deteriorating health condition, Sonny remains determined to identify and neutralize the threat behind the penthouse explosion that sent his son Michael to a specialized burn unit in Germany. This investigation has taken on new urgency as Sonny faces the possibility that he might not be around to complete it. Jason has taken the operational lead, working tirelessly through their network of informants and allies to piece together the puzzle. The attack's sophistication points to professional involvement rather than a typical mob retaliation. Explosive residue analysis suggests military-grade materials not commonly available in standard criminal circles. Whoever did this wasn't sending a message, Jason reported during their last strategy session. They were trying to eliminate everyone inside. This wasn't a warning, it was an execution attempt. The timing of the attack, coinciding with Sonny's health decline, raises disturbing possibilities. Could someone have learned about his condition? Is an enemy attempting to strike while perceiving weakness? The potential connection to his heart condition adds another layer of urgency to Sonny's investigation. For Sonny, this case has become intensely personal. Michael's injuries serve as a constant reminder of his failure to protect his family. Each day spent in recovery is another day Sonny holds himself responsible. The possibility that he might undergo high-risk surgery without having delivered justice to those responsible is unacceptable to him. "I want names, Jason," Sonny demanded during their last meeting, his voice betraying more emotion than he typically allows. "Before I go under the knife, I need to know who targeted my family."